Yo, what is up everybody? Jumpin here, and today I'm going to be bringing you an awesome video. This shit is crazy. This is the Battlefield 3 soldier, which a lot of you guys wanted to see, and I never really wanted to do because I thought he was total trash. But I was wrong! Alright, so the gun I'm going to be using is the Talon, just because of the low weight and decent firepower it offers. Now for the build, I have Adrenaline Rush. I use this for defensive power, so I like hardening because of that, just to reduce the damage. Next up is going to be melee damage, just because you don't want this on too long. You want to be able to use your Carnage. And the final one's just shield boost, just because, like I said, it's all about just helping you stay alive longer, if possible. Now for Carnage, I like damage, recharge speed, and damage, just to do a mass amount of damage. Now for the frag grenades, I like damage, bleed damage. You don't need max grenades if you have grenade capacity 5, and armor damage. Now for alliance training, damage and capacity, and power damage. And for fitness, I leave it at 3. Alright, now moving on to the equipment I'm going to be using. I got incendiary rounds 3 on, pistol round lamp 3, grenade capacity 5, and power amp 4. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the gameplay. Alrighty, so for this gameplay, it's going to be on Firebase Hydra, which is definitely one of my favorite maps in the game. Mainly just because I like the design of this map, and I do also like the grenades on this map. I think that this is a really easy map to use grenades on. Probably the best map in the game when it comes down to just keeping your grenades stocked up real easily. I don't even think I really have to use my thermal packs this whole game. It's so decent at that. Alright, and I'm also going to be fighting against Reapers, and this will be a gameplay of me playing with randoms. It was really early in the morning when I got this. Woke up, just got on the game, and decided to try this build out, and yeah, it was pretty crazy, I do have to admit. But the downside was I actually did 3 games with this guy trying to get the gameplay, and oh man, talk about Carry City. I don't know what it was. I guess I just got the worst randoms ever, but every single game, like, nobody could do anything but me. I was the only one doing anything. It's just really kind of annoying. But, you know, I guess that's how it goes when you do play with randoms, as many of you may know. But, alright, so expect that in this gameplay. Expect the fact that I'm going to be carrying the crap out of these guys. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this build. Now, I at first always thought that the Battlefield 3 soldier was going to be just total nonsense and garbo. Just because I knew for a fact he was pretty much that. He was total nonsense and garbo from like the people who actually had him from the promotional deal. Well, it wasn't a promotional deal. It was just that if you played Battlefield 3 and you logged into a multiplayer game or into the server, I think, you were able to unlock him for the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer as well. That's how you got this guy originally. Then they made it available for everyone. And when they did, just because of people, just because of the fact that I've seen people use him, I knew that, well, this guy has nothing awesome about him for real. I mean, he's literally the same to me as a regular human soldier, just because it used to be that if you wanted to use him effectively, all you needed to do was just purely use Adrenaline Rush and frag grenades, just like the human soldier. That was the only... Carnage has always been such a power. Like, it's always been one of the worst powers in the game, to be quite honest. But because of what they have done with the fire explosions now, that you can easily set up fire explosions and detonate them, this is amazing. And I hope you can see it already, but yeah, it takes a while, I think, to really start to get into it. Mainly when the brutes come and when the Ravagers come, then you'll really will see it. But this shit is crazy. I mean, it really is. All you have to do a fire explosion with this guy, and a really good fire explosion, is just simply Carnage and use Carnage, and then throw your frag grenade. Now, it's better if you can get direct impact with the frag grenades. Now, that's a little tricky though. You might have to practice that, because if you look at when you watch me play, you'll see that I'm gonna get direct impact about maybe 90% of the time, and then outside of that, I'm going to miss. It's easy to miss. Don't feel too bad if you can't do it right away, but it's not that hard to get used to. Right here, this Volus is going to be sucking my balls. I don't know why, but I guess he decided to do that. Anyway, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and talk about this, though. My buddy was the one who actually introduced me to this. Now, he didn't say a word about it. He just came in my lobby. It's actually a pretty cool guy. It's one of my friends I talk to a lot. His name is Classic Kush, or Cash. I don't know. I think his class is Cash. But the thing about him is that this particular day when he was using this, he was actually using this Battlefield 3 soldier. We were fighting against Reapers on purpose, just to try to work at getting the title. At least I was trying to work to get the title for the Reapers. And he had this on, and immediately I seen what he was doing, and I was like, yo, that is really smart, bro. So when I seen that, I was like, I'm definitely going to make me a build off of that. But like I said, he didn't really talk at all. I even asked him a couple questions, like, dude, is that what I think? Are you doing what I think you're doing? And he just didn't answer me. But then I decided that I definitely wanted to try it myself, because I know a lot of you guys have requested the fact that I should do this guy, this Battlefield 3 soldier. Like I said, I really kind of stereotyped him big time as just a total stupid nothing. Like, I don't know, like he was just, I thought he would be like the worst soldier in the game just because he's just a direct ripoff of the actual human soldier that we have. And the only unique thing about him is the fact he gets carnage. But the great thing about him is the fact that he gets carnage. Like, that's the craziest part about this whole mess. So I really feel bad about that, just in general, the fact that I labeled him like as being just so worthless and garbage when he actually turned out to be really good. And I want to really give a big shout out, like I said, to Classic Cash, because he was the one who kind of introduced me to this when he was running around using this. So anyway though, let me go ahead and talk a little bit about this gameplay right here. This is a terrible, terrible spot, especially for playing with randoms. I'm going to have to use a rocket just because, like, if you look where this is right now, it's in the middle of the map. This is literally one of the worst places ever in the game for a device. It just is. Like, without an infiltrator, it's so hard to do it. And I believe everyone is trying to do it, and I know that for a fact. If I don't like kill these enemies, my teammates are not going to be able to do it, or at least they're not going to be able to do it quickly. So I decided that, I'm not going to attempt to get on the device, only because of the fact that I want to make sure that I cover my teammates as best I can. And the problem that people don't understand is that in situations like this, the best thing really to do is let the guy who can cloak, which in this case we do have a Volus, so the Volus could be the one doing this. The best thing to do is to just leave it alone. Move away from that area. Don't cluster up as a team in that middle part of Hydra, because that's when all the enemies are going to rush you, and then brutes and everything else are going to knock you off of it, or you're going to die from Ravengers, or, well, maybe not Ravengers, I don't think they appear yet. But you're going to die from anything on the map that's going to shoot you and try to kill you. So keep that in mind, guys. It's very important. If you ever get that, and you're playing with people who are communicating, then you need to work together at luring the enemies away from that spot. It makes it 1,000 times easier. Otherwise, you're going to have an infiltrator, or in this case, I think the Volus should have been actually, I don't know what the Volus guy was running. I don't think he was using shield boost, because I didn't see him shield boost one time. If he would have just stood there and shield boost, and then if everybody just shot the brutes and dealt with the brutes, we would have been able to get it done easier. But we were able to get it done, so that's all that matters. Luckily, I thought that we were probably screwed just because I knew that these guys weren't that good. Alright. Anyway, though, like I said, so this guy is really amazing. Just the Battlefield 3 soldier in general for fire explosions. I call it, like, I'm debating on, at this point I'm debating on what to call this video. I don't know if I want to call it fire frags or what, because that's exactly what this is. You basically make fire frags, and it's really crazy overall, because the amount of damage you can inflict to armor with the frag grenades is insane. These things do 1,665 damage. 1,665 damage, plus 75% more damage to armor, plus the fire explosion, which will do DPS and a massive amount of damage all at once. So you're talking about some crazy shit right there. That is insane damage. You're going to wreck brutes, you're going to wreck Ravengers, you're going to wreck anything with armor. It's that simple. But I would say that this guy would be probably decent against the other factions, but he wouldn't, honestly, he just goes super duper godliness ham mode on Reapers. It's that simple. Like this, the faction you really, if you're going to want to try this, I would recommend just put it on Reapers and try it on Reapers, because the problem with the other factions is the fact that, like, well, besides the Geth, and the Geth are just annoying in general, because this guy is pretty weak in general. If you let you use a Cyclonic 4, you will die with this guy. It's just that simple. You're not going to be using your Adrenaline Rush consistently. You're not going to be doing that. If you're not doing that, you're going to have a lot of problems with staying alive. It's that simple. So keep that in mind. that he is flimsy as hell. He is. So Geth in general will probably wreck you way quicker than what Reapers will. And the problem with Cerberus and Collectors is the fact that they'll dodge the Carnage like it's their job. Like, that's just what they do. Like, warping a Collector or warping a Cerberus Trooper or whatever, it's really difficult just because of that fact that they always freaking dodge. Alright, so right here I'm going to shoot my rocket. Oh, actually, no, I guess I didn't. I decided not to. I didn't need to. No reason, because, I mean, look at that. Look at the cannibal feed. It's insane. The bleed damage on frag grenades it's actually really good. I used to never go for bleed damage, and the person who actually kind of swayed me on that was actually Zeke. Zeke, I think like in his platinum speedrun video that he had on my channel, was using bleed damage, and I was like, you know, hey, that's actually not a bad idea. Just because, like, you gotta keep in mind, any grenade in this game that at this point, any of them that has a decent effect, a decent Evolution 5 effect. Any grenade, if it has something that's pretty decent, yeah, definitely go for that over the more grenades. You don't need the more grenades. It's that simple. Because you have grenade capacity 5, and you have all these grenade boosting things, you know, if you want to use them. So you just don't need it. So and right here, I actually just got I think a kill streak with that frag. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, so keep that in mind. You don't need that. I think the only grenades in the game I would recommend always getting the max grenades for would probably be cluster grenades and lift grenades, just because you really don't. The effects that they get are just not worth it. You do 100% more damage to lifted targets. You don't really lift too many targets with, like, you know, just in general, you don't lift targets that much unless you pull them or whatever. What else? There's another one too. It's oh yeah, with lift grenades, I think it just extends the duration that they're lifted, which is the biggest joke in the world, just because the grenades kill and they never get lifted. It used to be that when they first came out, that didn't work. Now, it's definitely apparent that that will never work. Like, it's just what it is. Like, it's insane. I don't know what they were thinking with those grenades. Like, those things were actually going to be able to set up explosions and lift targets for you. It just does not happen. It's that simple. They're just way too strong to do that. The enemies will always die. Alright. Now, the main thing here, guys, is that another really good effective fire exploding person in the game that does work really well on all factions, it pretty much does, I can't admit that, is the Krogan Soldier. Now, he's a lot like this, but he's definitely different. He's the exact opposite. The way you use him would be to use your grenade first, like your fire grenade first, and then you use Carnage to detonate your fire explosions, which is a really, really good strategy. Another good one is the Vorge's Sentinel, because he can use Flamer, and then you can throw a cluster grenade, and that can kill. But overall, though, out of all of those, I think that, like, I personally think that the Krogan Soldier is the best one. And I would say this guy is, I guess the Vorge's Sentinel is better than this guy, but this guy is definitely the best one out of all of them I just named against Reapers. He really is. Like, just I mean, literally, one fire frag, that's what I'll call it, fire frag, will literally almost kill a brute. Like, just one explosion. That's insanity. That's a lot of damage. That's like a claymore shot. Point blank with a freaking GI, Geth Infiltrator. Like, literally. So, that's the thing that makes this just really crazy. It's just the fact that you're able to do that much damage to the enemies. It takes like maybe 2 fire frags to kill like a giant group of brutes and Ravagers. I mean, that is awesome. And it's a lot of fun to do. It's something different. I mean, obviously, a lot of you guys probably felt the same way about this this Battlefield 3 soldier. Probably did, when you think about it. Just because when you look at him, you're like, hey, that's just a regular human soldier. And everybody knows that Adrenaline Rush is a good power. And everybody knows that frag grenades are awesome. So, what's the purpose of, you know, going against that? There's no reason not to. So, alright, so right here, you know, one good tip with this guy as well is that you can shoot your gun. Don't think that you need to just constantly get your fire explosions nonstop. Nah, you don't need to do that. You really don't. I mean, the fire explosions are definitely the funnest part about this guy and the most beastly aspect of him. But if you're using incendiary ammo, that's actually a good strategy too, because you can simply just go into Adrenaline Rush and shoot the enemies and set them up. And if you do that, that's actually really effective as well. And it's a really good idea to do that on enemies like Marauders. You don't really want to actually sit there and try to, you know, they can dodge. It's just that simple, especially against Reapers. They're the only enemies against Reapers that really will dodge the crap. I think actually they're the only enemy that will dodge your Carnage against Reapers. So because they are the only enemy, just shoot them. It's that simple. Just go into Adrenaline Rush so that you can get your shields back if you need them, and go into and you know, you get the damage bonus, all that good stuff, and just shoot them. And then once you shoot them like once, I think they're pretty much set up. And if they're set up right here, boom, throw them the frag, and the frag will almost kill them most of the time, and the fire explosion will definitely kill them. So that's just a thing, guys. Keep that in mind. You can shoot with this guy. You don't, I mean, obviously, like I said, the fun aspect is the Carnage, and that's probably the most beastly aspect that you have. But as you can tell, I am shooting pretty consistently as I play. Right here, I'm going to get dropped by a Marauder. They're fucking ridiculous. Just how fast they can mow this guy down. That's one reason why the Adrenaline Rush really does come in handy. Like, you know, Max Fitness, you might think Max Fitness would be really good, but honestly, Adrenaline Rush is just too good to pass up. And just the fact that you're only going, you're actually only going to get, I think, 200 more health and 200 more shields for going for Max Fitness instead. I don't personally find that worth it at all. Like, just 200, that's not enough for me. So, like I said, if you strap on a Cyclonic 4, this guy's actually pretty godly in general at staying alive. He gets a decent amount of shields, and when you shield boost, you get a lot of those shields back. And it's pretty, like I said, it's pretty good. But the downside is that if you're going to use something like a Cyclonic modulator on him, then you're gonna, well, your explosions just aren't as strong. A lot of people always say frag grenades or grenades aren't affected by power amp equipment, and other things like explosions in the game aren't affected by it. And honestly, I don't really know. Maybe they're not, but from what I have eyes, and I base all my judgments off of what I see. It's that simple. And when I played with a Cyclonic 4, actually this is how I played this guy. I played 3 games with him. Each game I was playing with randoms, and each game I was carrying the crap out of them. This was by far the best gameplay, I thought, just because I didn't die 6 times like I did in the other 2, because I literally died 6 times and used up all my metagels in those gameplays. But we did beat it both times, but it was just a disaster because my teammates were just god-awful. Anyway, alright, so in the first game I used a Power Amp 4, and it was pretty amazing. I was like, whoa, this is pretty godly. Then I switched over to a Cyclonic, and in the second gameplay, yeah, I could totally tell that there was a big difference. Was it maybe the fire explosion was different? I don't know. Was it the frags were different? I don't know. But I do know that something was different damage-wise, because I was like not able to do like nearly as much damage to a brute, or nearly as much damage to a Ravager, Marauder, whatever. Like, doesn't really matter. Right here, I have no arm. That's crazy. I lost my arm. That's a really weird glitch. I've never seen that before in my life. Maybe it's just the Battlefield 3 soldier. There's a glitch with him like that. But that was really cool. It looked like he dislocated his shoulder for a minute, which is definitely awesome. But, yeah, like, it was amazing. Alright, so right here, I think this is going to be our last enemy. It's going to be a Banshee. Don't waste your time using Carnage and throwing your frags at the Banshees. They use barrier, or they use some type of weird barrier that blocks out a lot of powers in general. And the damage is really low to Banshees from frags, and you rarely can get the fire explosions. You can get them, don't get me wrong. It can happen. But in general, yeah, it's actually a lot less likely that you're going to get them against Banshees. Like, they always block it out. Now, right here, I'm going to get dropped again. But I know my teammates are just right there, and I know at this point my teammates are probably definitely going to want to go out their way to get me up, knowing that I've been just annihilating the enemies for them. And that's the thing. Like, obviously I would imagine that if I was a random and someone was on my team and they were doing really, really, really good, and I could tell that they were killing everything, I would definitely want to go out of my way to make sure that they stay up and they stay alive, because that would make the most sense. And I think that's what these guys were trying to do, but obviously if you look right now, look at them. They're trying to camp that side of the map. Camping is just not a good strategy. It's not. Like, it's not gonna make you good at the game. It just doesn't. It cannot make you good at the game. It's that simple, because you need to understand the mechanics of all aspects of this game, and camping doesn't teach you that. It does not. What teaches you that is the fact that if you run around and you go beast mode on enemies, obviously, even if you're not that great and you don't feel like you can run around the map and do well, you need to practice at doing that, because you learn the spawns. That's the first great thing, is that you know all the spawns on the map by running around. That's how I learned all the spawns. And I personally think that I'm one of the best in the game when it comes down to just knowing exactly every time where the enemies are going to spawn. Even when I'm playing with randoms and not my team, or without my friends. Because when I'm playing with my friends, the advantage I have there is I can tell them exactly what to do. I can tell them where to stand and what to do. And then if they listen, the spawns should pretty much work out the way that I know that they're going to work out. When I'm playing with randoms, though, I have to just judge from where they're standing where the spawn is going to be. And I do that all the time. I kind of look and see where they are, and then I'm like, okay, now I know that they're not going to spawn in the place I want them to spawn. So now I have to adjust my playstyle to go against that. Well, not my playstyle, but my routine, my route to go against that, to run and deal with the enemies. And that's the thing. That's to me probably one of the most important things about this game, is knowing the spawns and knowing where they're going to spawn, and just dealing with the enemies as quickly as possible. That works on every difficulty. It really does. So keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. That's the thing. And camping just does not really do that for you. And of course, you can just get overwhelmed and clusterfucked. If you're good at camping, then yeah, okay, you're good at camping. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that did a lot of Firebase White Geth, and they would talk a lot of mess like they were really, really good. A lot of those guys did. And guess what? They were not. They were definitely not that good at the game. And that was just how people like me always perceived it. If you played a lot of Firebase White Geth and you thought you were good and that's all you ever did, come on now. That's ridiculous. And you can still camp Firebase White. You can still do it. Don't think you can't. There's a lot of places. Every map has places on it that you can hold up and do well at just holding that side of the map. It's that simple. Every map has that. But the real goal, in my opinion, is just to be able to run around and know exactly what to do on your own, and in the same process you can help your team. That's, to me, I think the most important thing to do at all times. Alright, so this is going to be the extraction wave, and sorry about my rant, but this is how I feel, and I've always felt that way about just camping. I started making videos, honestly, because I wanted to get people away from that Firebase White garbageness that they were doing, because I thought that was the dumbest thing. I never did it. I always played with my friends, and I knew I never would. Luckily, because I never had that disadvantage of having to play with randoms, and I wanted to teach people that, hey, you can run around on gold and whatever, and not actually need to do Firebase White Geth gold. It's that simple. You can run around and be very successful by yourself or with your team or whatever it is. It does not matter. You don't need to do that. Just you need to know how to build your people, how to use your tactics the right way, where to go to get the cover, and all that kind of good stuff. Play aggressive. It's that simple. Anyway, though, like I was saying, this is the extraction wave, and like all randoms do, they're going to camp the LZ. I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to have any problems for real. They're going to have a lot of issues over there doing that. And it's going to definitely cost us the full extraction. I mean, I knew it. There's just no way I'm running over there to help these idiots up. I'm not doing that. It's that simple. So, if they want to stand over there, then by all means, let them. But if I have to get Lone Survivor, I'll get Lone Survivor. But I'm not going over there. Alright, so right here, at this point, I just realized that, yeah, I haven't used any of my thermal packs. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna use the crap out of them right now. And I'm just going to keep spamming the shit out of my grenades. I actually should have went into a drill and rushed right here and just spammed them. But because I didn't, I'm going to go down. I'm about to get up. Oh no, no one's in the LZ. Oh baby, Lone Survivor, let go. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Please like this video, and like always, have a nice day.